Hey guys, what's up? Emily here. Just wanted to go through your portfolio site submissions and give you some feedback on what you've created and sort of the opportunities from this point moving forward. So first up, we're taking a look at Roxy's site. So very clean application, sort of like a blank canvas, like a gallery wall to display your really awesome photography. I've seen the site before. We've worked together on kind of getting the layout exactly how you want it. So I know that this is stellar in its makeup and that you've got a ton of great stuff here to take a look at. I'm just going to click through a few of these. Your photos and the quality speak for themselves. You've got an aesthetic that really carries through with everything. So I'm just going to, for my own fun, click through a few of these and take a look. We have all these different galleries, a lot of different types of photos. I like to see the diversity of not just the events, but also the portraiture and the things that you do here. Really beautiful. I'm gonna go to fashion. So here I'm looking at the stuff, likely that you're working on with these clothing companies, which is great. And then the blog. So here it looks like maybe there's nothing here just yet. Okay, so this is a placeholder, I guess, for something that it will eventually happen. My recommendation is to go ahead and disable this page, hide it until you have something. Otherwise, it looks like what's happening is this, not loading. I don't understand, what I'm supposed to do here. This is other places that I can connect with you online, which is great. But sort of noticeably absent is any way that I can kind of contact you here through this site. I don't know if that's because you don't want people to contact you, but what if I wanted to hire you and I had, I wanted to, secure you for an event? It might be nice for you to include something that talks about your services and how much you would charge. If I wanted a portrait done by Roxy, like what could I expect? How much would it cost? Those are the types of things, and maybe you don't want to put that much information because it's very dependent upon the situation. It's variable, right? So I can understand not saying X number of dollars, but even something like call me at this number, or send this form to me, connect with me if you want to get a quote or talk about a project. It just seems like this is here just for show, and maybe it is just for show, but that's something just for me to kind of raise a red flag about, that I don't feel like it's an invitation to contact you for work, and if that's what you want, then you've achieved that. Otherwise, I would include some sort of page that talks about how I could hire you. Absolutely high five on a beautiful, clean site, and for really sticking with your passions, and for the ways that you're able to continue to take advantage of opportunities to do more of this good work. So high five. Next up, we're taking a look at Brianna's site. So here we have Yana. I appreciate the brand as you've created here. One thing that I noticed, and I've seen this with many Wix templates before, is that here we have home and resume, right? And notice how when I'm hovering over this, I get the menu, but then I don't get to see that there are links here. If I didn't take the time to scroll over this, I would not know that there were pages, so that definitely needs to be corrected in terms of your configuration or your settings there. But the thing about this template is that as I scroll, your navigation is sticky, meaning it stays in the same place, but your identity goes away. So at this point in time, I don't have the identity of you, of Yana, of the brand on the site in a major way. This is your header area up here. In the header, you need your brand always and your navigation. So I would make this a smaller version of Yana and be putting it up here. I don't like how spaced apart these links are. There needs to be more proximity between them. Social media coordinator and digital marketer, but notice how that, I know it has something to do with my own screen size. If I were to go full screen, right, view full screen, I do get to see that you are a social media coordinator and digital marketer, but I'm not going to do that because that's not how I have my screen set up and the way that I like it as a user, and know that everybody's screen is going to be different. In this case, there's nothing here that really identifies what you do at this view, right? Unless I, kind of go and start to scroll or have it full screen. There's nothing that identifies you as a social media coordinator or digital marketer. There's an opportunity here for you to move this content up on the page so that it's more, easy to identify you and what you do. I like that you have your social media links over here, other places that we can connect with you online. Here's a little bit of about you. This talks about sort of your journey through school and what you're doing in media communications. This might be a transition point for you to switch out this image of you as a student to something that's more of like a professional headshot, or you doing what you do at work, right? So this identifies you as a student, and there's an association, with students and, inexperience or kind of just starting out. And so I know you're saying here that you're currently a student, but I'm wondering if this is, something that you should think about in terms of transitioning to a professional life, right? Freelance is one word, so that's definitely something that you want to correct there. And then I'm wondering why the line breaks. It seems like photographer could go up here into this area. Scrolling down, it says social media coordinator, digital marketer. But like, again, the proximity of these things. Proximity means how close they are to each other. These are really spread far apart. I would definitely recommend kind of bringing some of that together. As I hover over social media coordinator, I'm clicking, it looks like a button, right? I'm clicking on it. And it doesn't take me anywhere. So in that sense, it's kind of set up this expectation that I'm going to click on it and that it goes somewhere, and it doesn't. So it's a disconnect for me. Scrolling down, I do see some of your images here. They're really beautiful. But so like, notice that when I hover over them, the thumbnail kind of gives me the title, and unless you give it a title, right, then it's going to default to the file name. So here, this is untitled, and here is the file name, right? And so that's probably not what you want to communicate about that. So, with these, with this slideshow here, you need to give it a title or a description so that it doesn't look unfinished or incomplete, right? So there's opportunity there. Scrolling up, I'm going to go to, let's see here, your about, and that's just dropping me down. And then contact is dropping me all the way down to the bottom of the page. And as far as navigation, that's not super intuitive, right? That's the way that it would go, because like it went to about and then it skipped all of this stuff in between, right, to go to contact. So under resume, it's loading up an entirely different page, and I've got the about you, your work experience. This, this is laid out pretty nicely. I appreciate, that you didn't just have a picture of your resume, but that this is all text inside this page. You have a large margin here and not a large margin here. That's something that you want to be consistent, because it looks cramped over here on this side. So something to be a bit more picky about in terms of the spacing of these elements. I'm going to scroll here to social media management and marketing. So this is going to take me to talking about your work. It gives me a little bit of your kind of experience, but in a way that is really dry. And by dry, I just mean like not visual at all. You talk about managing the Facebook page and content for MCBS and, the work that you did with the comedic Instagram vlogger. But like, can you show me some of this stuff instead of just tell me, can you show? But one thing I do appreciate is that you have shown your impact, right? Can you do this in a way that's a bit more visual is the question. I'd like to see it, rather than read it. Scrolling down to the gallery. So here it takes me back to that home page and back to this slideshow. So just the content is great. The organization of it is off, right? So I'd like to see this. Let's see, how would I arrange this? So you have two separate pages, right? And then these three things go together. All of your work should be in a single area. So this slideshow should be under, like with social media management, on its own separate page. And this should say, my work under home with the kind of about area. I would put resume kind of in this column. Because this is a one-pager, right, these are just dropping me down to page anchors, I don't really think that you need these links, right? So I might have, if you're on the home page, you don't need a button for the home page. If your logo is up here in the top, it's pretty standard for logos to link to the home page. So you could have that, you're on the home page, you scroll down and you see the About Me, you see the resume, you see service areas, which could be these things, and then you see the contact form. Then you have, My Work, and under My Work you have a case study of what you've done for social media and then your photography. That would be my recommendation. The content is all here. I just think you need to rethink the navigation. Next up, I am going to talk to Heywan about her visual resume because I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I'm going to start with your website. So it's loading in. We have your brand up here at the top, home, about, work, contact, so all very standard and intuitive links. And then we have sort of this cool animation that loads in with Heywan Studio. So here you talk about being a director and a designer. Just a really quick jump back here, you talk about being an editor and a graphic designer. So here it's Heywan Studio, but here it just says Heywan Shim. Right, so a little bit of a disconnect in terms of not consistent in how you talk about yourself or how you talk about your work, right? So as I scroll down here, I want you to notice that you give me just a very small viewable window, right? So like the only place the content is coming in is in this area here. So I'm scrolling and all of this is remaining static, and I can't even watch this full video. You've given me a nice big video to watch, but I can't see it fully because it's caught in this little window. You need to toggle the settings on this frame so this goes a much larger viewable space. We have a video here, which is great. I've seen this video, was very proud of what you created, but I don't have any context to understand what you're trying to show me. As a stranger to you, I don't know that you made this. I don't know what you're trying, like what skills that you're trying to show with, with motion graphics or with video editing or with any of that, because you don't give me the context to understand what I'm saying. I don't know that you created this. I don't know that you did the motion graphics or the editing or anything. So you need to explain that. Under About, so here again, really tiny window from which to view your information, and I just want to point out on the home page you just give me a loading animation and then a video, and here you just give me the smallest little bit of information about you, and you're making me poke around to different pages to get just like these crumbs of content. My recommendation would be for you to consolidate this. I don't like this window, this small little window. I'd like to be able to scroll this whole page down and see the loading animation, the featured video that you want to show me where you tell me about that video. I want to see this about you information all in one page. Under Work, as this loads in, it's loading in as a blog, right? So here I'm seeing your different projects. Again, not a fan of this small window of viewable space, but what I do like is that you've tagged each of these so that I get an idea about what they're about. It seems that we have a few in Korean and a few in English, so maybe be consistent with who this is for. Either way is fine, but someone might have a curiosity about one of these things and not be able to see or understand. So I'm just going to click one that says read more. As this loads in, I can see that you just have the video here, and I don't have any understanding of what you created and why and for who and what did you use to create it. So this is a missed opportunity with giving me more information about your skill set. Last but not least, we have a contact page, a cool little drawing, and a simple form, right? A way that I can contact you here. Here's also your Instagram, kind of weird placement of these things, not really purposeful. I would drag this down and have it be in the footer. My recommendation, Heywan, is to have a single one-page design with home, about, and contact information right here on the home page, and then a separate tab for your work. You've got great stuff. Just again, the organization of this and kind of the thought process of how you want to lay it out needs a bit more attention. Now I'm going to drop over to your visual resume. So here we talked a little bit about the disconnect between how you talk about yourself and the need for consistency between these things. I like the way that you've done this. It is in fact very visual, and you tell me like these places that you have worked before. It might you say editor, but what kind of editor? You might need to specify, because that could be like writing or it could be video. Scrolling down just to see some of the other things that you've done. We've got these icons here. The design itself is consistent in terms of the aesthetic. Some of the language that you use could be, a bit more consistent. Yeah, overall, I would say that this is, it is visual. I would work a little bit on just better explaining what you did in these areas, so that someone can understand, for Hope Helps, like what that meant, or for the mustard seed, what that meant. Also, these should be in chronological order, but with the newest at the top, right? So Graphic Design Works, is that a company? There's a question mark about that. So here you say Premiere, After Effects, all of these things, but then Final Cut Pro has a label and so does Logic Pro, so that's inconsistent where you just have icons before. And then here you say Microsoft Office, Brand Marketing, and Web Design, but you don't show icons. So this whole section is a bit inconsistent. If you were going to go with iconography, then you need to find icons for these as well. Overall, pleased with the development of your brand, but the need for consistency in certain elements for sure. If you guys have any questions about the feedback that I've provided here, please let me know, and let's keep pushing this stuff to its next and evolved place, right? Trying to move you guys into more of a professional space, more professional realm as you get ready to graduate and start to use these portfolio sites to help you get jobs. Thanks, guys.